more explicit. She's a victim of domestic violence, and the perpetrator was a police officer. And once you turn in one of these officers for domestic violence, the police force tends to not like you very much, and they tend not to help you very much. And you are identified as someone who has turned in one of their own and caused them problems. And it's a situation that is kind of puts you in a really bad spot, because once you've stepped up and reported one of these people, most of the time it's men, not always, you were kind of a marked person. And a lot of times you don't ever get any help out of the cops after that. So in her case, she's got a situation with her daughter who was being stalked. She went to the police. They're not going to help her. And this is what she's talking about, that these are, it's bad enough when you're a victim of domestic violence, but when the perpetrator is part of who's supposed to help you or is part of the police establishment, you really, excuse my expression, you're screwed. Sometimes you're going to one of their friends to report the crime.
It's a brotherhood, too. It's
Yeah, it is.
From agency to agency, that they all stand up for each other. They circle the wagons.
And this is in your record, so when you go in to report another crime and it comes up, they're like, oh, you're one of those people.
Chief Casada told me personally, he said, we're done with Nancy West. She needs help. You know, like, go away.
Right, they had to identify you, and I've spoken to other victims of this type. Just recently, I've gotten to know a few women in the community throughout America, in this type of community, and they all say that the police identify them to everyone as crazy, liars, all these kinds of things. And this isn't the first time with me. I also reported back when my daughter was 3 that she was exposed to a man, a babysitter's boyfriend exposed himself to her, and they did nothing. And I just recently got the report, and there are all kinds of lies in the report. So they told me that they brought the guy in for questioning and everything, but then in reading the report, they said that they did no follow-up at all because I didn't give them any information about the man. And my eldest daughter, who is now 33, when she was 17, I reported a rape because she had ended up pregnant, and a detective from the Anaheim Police Department went to the clinic when she got the abortion and collected DNA samples. But there is no report. I've gotten all the reports that supposedly have existed since 1996, and there is no report about my daughter's rape.
Nancy, can you give the example too where there's a misuse of resources too, because when you were in the hospital, they went in and a homicide. Can you talk about that example?
Yes.
Too, because there's a misuse of resources too.
Yes, during a domestic violence attack, I went to the hospital. I had asked to be taken somewhere safe. The police got involved. I asked to be taken somewhere safe, and they said against DOJ policy, they told me they couldn't take me anywhere but to the hospital to talk to someone. They should have taken me to a shelter according to DOJ policy. But anyway, when the officer took me to the hospital, he told the intake doctor that I wanted to shoot myself in the head with a gun. I never said that. I was looking for safety. The reason that I went was because I was 4 months pregnant with my daughter Jasmine, and my ex tried to force me into a car to take me to get an abortion because he didn't want a girl. We found out she was a girl. And I was fighting to save her life. When I got away from him, I got into his car, and he called the police on me. I locked the doors, and they got there before I could get out of the driveway. So now I have recently picked up those records, the medical records, and that's when I discovered that they told the doctor that I wanted to shoot myself in the head with a gun. They tried to make it look like a 5150 when it was voluntary, and I was just trying to get safety. Now, also, I find out that 2 years later, a homicide detective from Anaheim Police Department went and obtained those records with no police report to back it up and no probable cause. No reason for that at all.
So Nancy came to us, actually went to city council a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe?
Almost,
Even more?
yeah, about a year and a half ago.
And shared this in public in a very, very compelling way, her and Jasmine to city council. City council mayor Tate directed staff to, and the police chief to meet with Nancy to follow up on the case. And so they investigated, and we didn't hear, Nancy didn't hear back about what's going to happen here. Is there going to be a prosecution of the stalking and the harassment that was occurring? That was for this current one. And so there, nothing happened. So Nancy came to us soon thereafter and asked for our support to try to at least get an audience with the police department and the city attorney's office to find out why didn't they prosecute, what's going on. The police department was very cooperative at the beginning. They needed consent from Nancy to meet, for others to sit in a meeting with her, to listen and look at the records, because they are records that she submitted, so it's confidentiality. So Nancy waived that to allow me, myself, and Francisco to sit in the conversation. The police chief was very open, Raul Quesada, very open, but just before we met, he had to cancel the meeting because what we're looking to do is find out why it was not prosecuted, right? Why was it not prosecuted? And so, because there was a police investigation. So we sent a request to the city attorney's office and to the Orange County District Attorney, and we're told that they cannot meet with us to tell us why they chose not to prosecute. And all we want to learn, what Nancy wants to learn and has asked us to keep helping, is what did you look at, and is there other evidence that she needs to provide that maybe they felt they needed to pursue the prosecution so that she can help the case. So we're still pursuing that. The city attorney pretty much said, I will not meet with anyone because of ethics, statewide ethics around prosecutorial processes, which I'm asking other colleagues to maybe give us some input on that from other cities. The Orange County District Attorney did say, Assistant DA, she did say that she would meet with, regarding this case, but only with Nancy, not with anyone else in the room. So we're kind of trying to figure out, because Nancy already feels like she's gone through the ringer on this, does not want to be alone as the only witness to whatever gets said, because she's already been, in many ways, what's the word here?
Persecuted, oppressed,
Traumatized.
All of those.
traumatized.
Bullied.
Yeah, so we don't, Nancy does not want to be put in a he said, she said conversation, basically, right? We want a community to bear witness about what's happening here. One way or the other, and that's what's great about this, is Nancy saying, look, if I'm not doing something right, or if it's me, I want you to be there to find out that it's me, right? As opposed to what she's alleging here. So that says right away, if she's willing to do that, then that means something's really going on. So we're going to keep pursuing that on that. So I want to thank Francisco, Paco, who has been a rock in this process, supporting Nancy in this process, Mark and others who have been there. So Nancy, just know we're still with you. We said we would be there. It's taken a long time. But when you are pushing on power, there's something there. So I just wanted to update the community on that because that was a petition made to us formally.
Well, I jumped Michael Houston at the last.
Yeah.
What can we do?
So we're continuing to push on that, and I'm going to try to get some colleagues to, I've asked, to give me their read about, is it their interpretation that a city attorney's office cannot meet with the person who wanted the prosecution to happen, submitted the charges, let alone with other community members at her side. The DA's office says they would, but just with Nancy. So that's what we're pushing. Ben?
Did you go to the grand jury with this issue?
We're talking about making that maybe one of the next steps or soon thereafter.
One of the functions of the grand jury is to look into malfeasance of local government. And so I would recommend strongly that you go to the grand jury with your issue.
Thank you very much. Dr.
Malfeasance.
Moreno mentioned that to me earlier, so we're considering that strongly. Also, I'd just like to add that anybody that's interested or concerned to please Google OIDV or Brame, the Brame tragedy, B-R-A-M-E, David Brame, Crystal Brame. and what happened to her. Her story is uncanny to mine, but she ended up with a bullet wound, murdered by her husband. And there are many, many ruled suicides by a gunshot to the head of female or either partners of officers in domestic violence cases. They're all ruled as suicides. And so, but the same thing in her case, the city manager blocked an investigation. She went to the press. I've been to the press. They take my story and they don't get back to me after talking to the police. Same thing happened to this woman, only the police in her case threatened the press, and she ended up killed.
And the city attorneys, and then we'll close with this, the city attorney said that basically there's not enough evidence that he would have the confidence to prosecute this to win at trial. So that's what our basic question is, why not? Just why aren't you prosecuting, right? That's the question that we're posing without any prejudice to it, just simply why not from our end, and that's where we're helping Nancy. So Nancy, thank you for your patience with us, because this has taken a while with us, but thank you for your fortitude and persistence. Now you're expanding and saying, I want to help other people. We really need to wrap up and move on, but Nancy, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I just don't know what I would do without all of you. I really don't know what would happen.
Alejandra.